Hey there, in this video we're going to learn a little bit more about importing things into Python. We're going to learn about packages and modules, and we're going to write our own simple module to try it all out. So we've already used an import statement like import math, and what this does is it imports the math module, or we could say the math package. Those two terms do have slightly different meaning. A package is a folder of Python programs, and a module is a .py file that is in that folder. So somewhere on your computer there is going to be a math.py or something like a math.py. The name doesn't actually have to be math. There are ways in Python to have your code with a different name that gets renamed when it's imported. That's kind of advanced stuff that we don't really need to worry about. It's also possible to write your functions in a different programming language entirely and import them into Python. Actually, a lot of the stuff that we use is written in programming languages like C or even Fortran. But that's all transparent to the end user. So let's look at importing a module out of a package. And we're going to look at an integrator here. We'll learn more about how this integrator works later on in the course. But for now, let's just try to import it. So it lives in a package called SciPy. So we're going to import SciPy, first of all, just to see what's there. And so if I do a scipy.tab a couple times, oh, looks like we're still importing. There we go. We can see what sort of things live in there. And there's a lot of stuff in the overall SciPy package. So what's happening here is it has decided what things from the folder it wants to make available to us. Okay, now I'm looking for an integrator. It lives in a package called integrate. You can see it's not here in the list. Okay, we have to import it explicitly. So what we really want to do here is import scipy.integrate. And now scipy.integrate has some stuff in it. We're going to give it a moment to actually load up. There we go. And so we can see it has some stuff in it. Bunch of integrators here. One of the most commonly used ones is called quad, which stands for quadrature. It's another name for integration. And then scipy.quad here is a function that we can use. In fact, we should see information about it over here in the contextual help. As it so happens, another way we can get to this information is to put our mouse over the name and hit Shift-Tab a couple times, and we'll get the very same text here in a pop-out menu. So you don't actually have to have a window dedicated to contextual help. I think when you're learning and you want to know about everything, it's nice just to have a dedicated spot. But once you know by heart what most of this stuff does, the Shift-Tab can be a nice quick way just to see quickly what documentation does a given function have. Okay, so quad is a function that lives in the module integrate that is part of the package SciPy. Now that's a lot to type just to get this single function here. And so as it happens, there are other ways we can do our import statements, other time savers here. So we could do from SciPy import integrate, and that would give us the name integrate in our this is called our namespace, the place where we write our code, and then from there we can call quad. So that's one option. We can do from scipy.integrate. Or I can even just hit tab. Yeah, integrate to do some tab completion. I can import quad, and so that would be me just importing the function itself. That's nice if you only want like one or two functions. Or what I usually use is we rename what we're importing. So I'll usually do from, I was doing that right. I'm saying one thing and typing another. So I'm going to import scipy.integrate as si. I'm just going to rename it. And now si is the same thing as scipy.integrate. In fact, I should be able to say si is scipy.integrate. They'll say, yeah, they're actually the same thing. And then I could call si.quad. Now, if you're wondering, why do I prefer that to importing quad explicitly? It's because it makes it really clear where quad came from, that it came from the SciPy package. It also makes it easy, or it protects me from accidentally reusing the name quad somewhere else in my program and replacing the function name with something else. So I prefer to be a bit more explicit about where things came from. At the same time, I don't like typing out more than I really need to, so I'll shorten the names. Like for example, we'll do import numpy as np. That's a pretty common contraction that we'll be using. So let's look at making our own simple module now. Let's try importing it. So I'm going to get the contextual help out of the way just because it's taken up a lot of space. And I'm going to go up here in File, New. We could open a launcher here, and I want a text file. I'm going to right click here and I'm going to rename this text file. And we're going to call it, let's call it circle.py. We're going to create a py file. And I'm going to bring it over here to the right. And in this file, I'm going to write some Python code. Okay, and I could do a few different things with this file. I could just run it directly from a terminal, and if it had anything to do, it would do it. Or in this case, I'm going to write some code in here that I intend to import and use. So I can write in here just like it was a notebook cell, and I'm going to start with import. Let's import math into this notebook. Math's already a pretty short name, so I don't really feel like I have to rename it. I'm going to create some functions. I'm going to define the area of a circle. Area is a function of a circle's radius. So that would be pi r squared. So I'll do a math.pi r squared. Let's do the circumference of our circle. So circumference of, for a circle of radius r, is 2 times math.pi times r. Okay, and then I'm going to just hit Control S to save that file. Okay, so I've created circle.py, and I've made these functions in it. So now in my notebook, I can import circle. Okay, and now I have access to the stuff that's in here, and I can do circle.area for, say, radius 2. Do that for me. I could do circle.circumference. I can also do something that's like really bad taste. I can do circle.math.sine of 0. Like, that's legal. You really should never do that. But math is a name that exists in this file, and so I can get to it if I really wanted to. Now, one thing to watch out for if you do put code here in your own file. Well, first of all, if you do this for anything graded, make sure it actually gets turned in. Second, if you make a change here, like I decide I just want this to be better, let's just do like pi r cubed, like that's better. Okay, and I save this and I come back here. Well, first of all, you might, okay, run the import statement and then do this, and the answer didn't change. So the thing is here, Python's being a little bit too smart for us. It's saying, well, you already imported circle. Why would I do that again? I'm just going to use the version I already imported. So you have to tell it to reload it. Your quickest way to do that is just to come up here to your kernel, restart kernel, and then run your cells again. There's also a reload command in Python that will save you from having to reload your kernel. It'll just reload the module. So you can look up that. So just be aware of that. Any changes you make while it's already imported don't immediately take effect until you've restarted Python. Let's say I want to run this as a standalone file. Right now, this doesn't do anything. So we might want to give it something to do. Like, let's just say, okay, your job is to print area of a circle of radius 1. Right, so that should print pi. Okay, so we're going to save that. And then over here, let's actually do our kernel restart. So we could type 00, or we can just hit the button here, restart. So this notebook has now forgotten everything I've already run. So I can rerun import circle. Oh wait, look at that. It printed out pi. Why did it do that? Well, because that's what this file says. Import, what this actually does is it runs the whole file. And if your file says print something, it will. So that's not great. Let's look at how we'll fix that in just a minute. But now let's say I want to run it. So we could do like a new terminal. We could just open this up on a regular terminal on your computer. Then I could type Python. I know it came out in yellow for some reason, but it says Python. And I'm going to run circle.py. So make sure you change to the directory where your files actually are. We should see in here, along with some other junk I've been playing around with, there's circle.py. Okay, so now I can type Python circle.py and it will run it for me from the command line. So that's how you can make your own standalone Python script. Now for our purposes, we can do everything in the notebook. We don't even have to use separate files to write our modules. We could just write the code in the notebook. But, you know, if you've got serious code, you usually do standalone file. The notebooks are great for learning, but they are not really a for everything tool. So let's come back here to this issue. I would like to be able to import circle.py, and I'd also like to be able to run it. And I don't like seeing stuff print when I import. It's kind of sloppy. So the Python solution to this kind of looks like a little bit of magic, but it does make sense once explained. So we do this. If name equals main, there's 2 underscores, both before and after, sometimes called dunders in Python. If name equals main, then print area. What's going on here is every Python module has a built-in variable called name surrounded by double underscores. That's the name of the file. The name of the file, when you import it, is its name. So the name of this file is circle. Unless it's being run from the command line, then the name of the file is main, no matter what you called the file. So this is a bit of Python code that lets you check if your file has been imported or whether you're just trying to run it from the terminal. So let's just check real quick that has worked. Got to restart our kernel here. We're going to import circle. All right, so it didn't print that anymore. Whereas if I go out here to my terminal and I run it, it's still able to print its value. Okay, so we'll stop there. We've learned about packages in modules. We wrote our own very simple module. We've looked at how you can run a Python file from the command.